I'm Dave Abrams.
And I'm Kristin. Welcome to Arundel County Week in Review. In this week's episode, we'll sit down with Police Chief Tim Altomare and we'll preview the Big Glen Burnie Carnival, the first making headlines this week. There's a big public meeting coming up this week. On Tuesday, July 26th at 7 p.m., County Executive Steve Shue and the directors of several county departments will visit Mayo Elementary. They'll provide information, listen to residents, and answer questions about two big issues for the Mayo Peninsula. One big issue is an 8-year building moratorium that is set to expire in January. The other is planned improvements on Beverly Triton Park. Officials will talk about traffic, schools, water and sewer lines, timelines, and other factors. They'll also try to educate residents about the facts when it comes to future development on the Mayo Peninsula. One of the biggest misconceptions is that the development will be fast and furious, and part of that is because a wrong number has been floating around that 1,400 homes could be built when the moratorium is over. That is not true. Planning and Zoning Officer Larry Tom said the impact of the moratorium will be much smaller and spread out over many years.
1,400 homes is way an exaggeration of what the true development potential might be for the Mayo Peninsula. Interestingly, we did some recent holding capacity analysis for the Mayo Peninsula, and our numbers were almost less than half of that. We're looking at a potential development of maybe 600 units. And the important thing to remember is that we're not going to be opening up the floodgates once the Mayo moratorium is done. It's impossible to predict the actual time frame of when and if all 600 plus houses might come online. There's lots of factors that govern it, including the nature of the site itself, if there's any environmental features that need to be considered. The potential build-out could be decades from now. The other thing that's important, I think, to the listener is to understand that there's going to be adequate safeguards in terms of adequacy of public facilities as we start to review these projects.
Now, why was this moratorium put into effect in the first place, you might ask?
Why was this moratorium put into place in the first place, Kristin?
Well, Dave, we talked to Public Works Director Chris Phipps for the information about that.
In 2008, August of 2008, the Mayo sewer service area had reached its capacity as relates to capacity available at the treatment plant. And at that time, and leading up to that time, the county had been working on alternatives to expand the plant. However, we continue to face regulatory challenges with how the outfall from the sewer plant could be constructed. We've since resolved all those issues with MDE. We're moving forward with a plant expansion and an upgrade in water quality improvements consistent with the latest Bay regulations. And we anticipate that all the infrastructure necessary to expand the plant will be in place by January of 2017. And essentially, we will be abandoning the plant as it exists today as a treatment plant, converting it to a pumping station and pumping the flow over to Annapolis, our Annapolis facility for treatment there, and then final discharge.
Of course, our crew will be there to record the meeting at Mayo Elementary, and we will get that up online as soon as we can. Hopefully this meeting will answer a lot of questions that folks have been having, Dave.
A lot of questions. There's so many issues all baked together here that kind of all boiled up at the same time. And one thing we didn't have Chris and Larry talking about was the Beverly Triton Beach, the park project there. And I think the one thing to keep in mind here is that this project will not break ground for 2 years. So while it may seem like everything, some people are very upset about it, and they have every reason to be concerned about traffic and about crowding, in their neighborhoods. But these things that we're talking about, these things are going to take a good amount of time. There's going to be plenty of time to hear from everyone, to try and work through some of the issues that will come about. So hopefully people will come out to this meeting and they'll listen to the answers and get all the information they need, and they'll stay involved in the process for the years going forward where these things will come about. I
mean, if you want people to come out, you should have cookies.
Maybe we'll have cookies.
People love cookies.
Stay tuned.
I love
We might
cookies.
have punch too.
If you have punch, I'll be there.
Okay, good deal.
All right.
Punch.
Punch.
Well, Kristin, did you hear something buzzing?
What is that? What?
That's the sound of honey being made,
I
Kristin.
love honey.
Anne Arundel County and the city of Annapolis and Highland Park have officially been designated members of Bee City USA.
Bee City USA?
Bee City USA.
Bee City.
So what's the big deal with bees? Well, I'm glad you asked, Kristin.
What is the big deal with bees, Dave?
Well, you know, pollinators play a huge role in sustaining 3/4 of the world's plant species. The state of Maryland has already banned the sale of pesticides that contain, wait for it, neonicotinoids. No, it's neonicotinoids. Yes, what she said. We need a song.
Neonicotinoids.
There you go.
Neonicotinoids.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, if you sound it out, you may notice that it sounds like the word nicotine.
Nicotine.
And it turns out that's what it is. It's the ingredient in cigarettes that is very dangerous for people and bad for your health. And so scientists believe that pesticides with this active ingredient can cause honeybee colony collapse disorder.
Whoa.
That's right. That's right, colony collapse disorder, CCD is what it's called.
CCD.
Now, by becoming a Bee City USA, our jurisdictions have agreed to form citizens groups, provide educational programs, and promote planting native, pesticide-free flowering trees, shrubs, and perennials. I wonder if orchids would work.
My orchid's still going strong. I know where you're going with this.
You're doing
Beautiful.
good with the orchid?
I'm gonna.
All your plants are surviving well?
You know what? Here's a shot of my orchid. Here's a shot. I'm going to show you a picture. Look at that orchid.
Look at that orchid.
Yeah. Who's talking now?
I'm impressed, Kristin. I gotta say, I was wrong.
Yeah.
As I often am.
What color? Green.
Is that what that is?
Green. That's gross to
look
say.
green.
Yeah.
There's no Charizard on your head this week. That's
Charizard.
good. That's a good thing.
A carp.
It's a magic carp.
Magic carp, yes.
That's right.
Well, we have some big news in the recycling world, Dave.
Oh, I can't wait.
Starting in July, you'll have to put your leaves and other yard waste in a paper bag. That's not just a regular paper bag, that's the paper lawn and leaf bags.
Correct.
Don't go to the grocery store and get grocery paper bags.
No.
The paper lawn and leaf bags that they have at all of the local hardware stores and home improvement stores.
Right.
No more plastic. You can still use a plastic bin with an X on it, but our contractors will no longer be accepting plastic garbage bags anymore for tree limbs, brush, leaves, and grass clippings. We just finished a short video promoting the change and explaining why. Take a look.
Our citizens do a great job recycling more often. I want to tell you about a new collection practice that will help the environment, save our residents money, and also make our services more efficient. We're going to need everyone to chip in. When you leave your yard clippings out at the curb, don't use those plastic garbage bags anymore. Paper bags are much better. They're easy to use, biodegradable, and economical. You can find these bags at any major home retailer. Some of you might be pretty used to using the old plastic garbage bag and taping an X on them for pickup. So why change? Well, here's why. Look at what happens when garbage bags get to the recycling center. It's a big mess. If we want to protect the environment, why would we use more plastic garbage bags and add more trash? Paper bags grind up into and become part of the nice reusable compost. In January, we will stop collecting plastic garbage bags with yard waste. Get started saving the environment now. Get rid of the plastic and brown bag it.
Now, did you see all that plastic flying around?
I know, gnarly.
That's what's causing a big problem. I think people understand why that's bad for the environment and that this will be an easy change because people have a good 5 months to get used to this new policy. We'll also get a better quality compost as a result.
Yeah, and the video makes it very clear the difference between when you use the plastic bags and when you use the paper bags. And just to make it super duper clear, you already mentioned it, you can use any old kind of container that you have laying around, just put an X on it. That's fine because the guys take it, they dump it in the truck.
Dump it, leave it back.
The problem is when it's tied in a bag, it goes to the facility in that bag.
Yeah,
and now you
they
have
can't
a
grab
problem.
all those bags and get them all out. So it's getting, and the end results, it's getting shredded up with the compost.
It's the right thing to do,
Causing a lot of litter. So you want to talk Bee City?
Take it from the queen of recycling.
You want to talk Bee City for a minute?
Let's talk about the bees.
3 Bs.
3 Bs.
Bag it
Bag it.
in a paper lawn or leaf bag.
Yeah.
Bundle it.
Bundle it.
Use some twine or some string. Or bin it.
Or bin it.
Put a big X on a bin.
All right, now let's do like Village People. Give it to me again. What's the first B?
B for bin it. B for bundle it. B for bag it. Is that when you go to that grocery store? Maybe?
Oh wait, not this, because you can't tie it because it's in the
No,
paper
you just
bag.
put it in the bag.
That's right. There you
Put it in
go.
the bag. All right,
That's
so
the
ready, we
move.
got bin it. And we got bundle
Bundle
it.
it.
And
Then
we got bag it.
Bag it.
There we go.
I think we got something.
This is the yard waste dance.
That's going to be our next video, folks. You
Yes.
wait. We're going to have that coming up for you next.
I love it.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk to Police Chief Tim Altomare about the national discussion revolving around the use of force and attacks on police officers. Take a look at our community calendar for events happening around town, and we'll be right back.
Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back. We're delighted to have in the studio with us this week one of our favorites, Chief Tim Altomare. Chief Altomare, great to have you back on the program.
Thank you for having me, man.
And we've had you on the show before, but we've never talked about life before chief. What would you describe your career as before you became chief?
A little bit of everything.
All right.
So I did my first 5 years with the Annapolis City Police Department. So you'll hear people sometimes remark upon how young I am as a cop to be the chief, because I only have 18 years with the county. But they forget that I've got the 5 years before that. So
We're over that 20 mark.
yeah, over the 20 mark. I did 5 years with Annapolis City, most of it either in uniform patrol or in street level violence suppression and drug interdiction in the public housing communities in Annapolis. It was a very rewarding chapter of my career. I got to help a lot of people fight the fight against the scourge that drugs present in our community. And when I left, it was more about how small that department is and room for advancement and specialization more than anything else. So after that, when I came to the county, I say generally I've pretty much done everything other than homicide work and canine stuff. Those dogs scare me to death. So that held no allure for me. But I've done quite a lot of time in drug work. I was a robbery detective in our centralized robbery unit in the Criminal Investigation Division. As a sergeant, I obviously did some patrol work, and then I supervised district level problem solving and narcotics teams, and then I was a team leader on the SWAT team for several years. As a lieutenant, I commanded patrol shifts in actually 3 of the 4 patrol districts. I commanded our vice narcotics unit, which had the gang suppression and specialized technical investigation aspects of the job in there as well. And I was the executive officer, so the deputy district commander for 2 of the 4 districts. And then as a captain, I commanded our Northern District for a fair amount of time, and for a short period of time before Mr. Shue named me chief, I was the district commander for the Southern District, so the biggest district in the county also.
That's quite an impressive resume there.
Absolutely, he's done a little bit of everything, and we're glad to have you because there's so many issues going on right now in the country revolving around the police department in every different jurisdiction across the country. Let me start by asking you, when you saw these things unfolding in Dallas and in Baton Rouge with officers being gunned down just for being police officers, what was kind of going through your head as a police officer and as a police chief?
Well, that's a great question, and you kind of split it into 2 different aspects, so I'll do the same thing with an answer. As a police officer, it rips your heart out of your chest, and I think I really would be lying to you if I said that we haven't, in the police profession, expected this for a while. When you have the rancorous situation that has developed in much of the country, we think we knew the target on us was getting bigger and bigger. But I think the important thing to remember there is we've known that putting this uniform on always has put us in harm's way, and we've accepted that risk willingly and in the quest for service, I think. So that's the easiest way to say it. As the police chief, the really important thing for me is that the men and women I'm privileged to lead maintain the mindset that we're here to help the folks we've sworn to serve, to not kind of hunker down and enter an under siege mentality, because if it ever gets to the point where the police officers are thinking it's us versus them, as a society we've all lost. Right. So I do believe that an assault on police officers is an assault on the body of the nation, and I think that in this county we're very fortunate that there has been such an outpouring of support and love from our community, and that's not something new. We're very fortunate in this county because we see kind of concrete examples of how much people care about us routinely. So as we focus day to day on the future, I really send that message loud and repeatedly to the officers. We have a job to do. We have always been in danger. We can't let a very, very small group of people who want to foment evil in the world win. And the best way we can let them win is for us to stop interacting with our community in a positive manner.
I think that kind of goes into what I was going to ask as my next question, if you want to elaborate any further.
I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's exactly what we wanted to talk about any hesitations that come up in your force, how you are working with your officers to calm any hesitations about becoming targets themselves.
And do they have to train differently with these situations occurring? There has to be a shift in how they're training to prepare for something like that.
Great point. We absolutely are focusing on techniques, tactics, if you will, to go out there and be safe. I think, we would be silly in this line of work if our heads now weren't even more on a swivel than they generally are. A threat can be coming from any quarter, and it can be coming at any time of day or night. So we are truly reinvesting in that communication with the officers out there doing the job every day. We have taken some concrete steps to keep them safe. I don't want to go into a whole bunch of detail on that because If there are bad guys or gals watching and listening, I'm telling them, how to defeat the tactics. But we've put some things in place. We have reinvested in that training, in the communication, and we've changed our tactics a little bit on how we go from A to B every day and do it safely. So I think that's a safe answer for that one.
That's good. We did have one incident, I believe it was 3 days after the Dallas shooting, where there was an arrest being made in Freetown Village, and as the arrest was going on, someone threw a bottle at the police officer. Can you tell us what happened there? And also, the reason why it got my attention is because I know you've worked so hard at building a relationship between, especially in that neighborhood. I'm sorry, it was Meade Village. It was not, did I say Freetown?
You did not, and it was Meade Village.
It was Meade Village, yes. So I know you've worked very hard, and we've heard stories, we've had community forums where it's clear that the leadership in the community is communicating with the leadership in the police department. So what happened there, do you think?
So that's a glitch that we don't want to see, absolutely. We've worked extremely hard in communities in the county for the past year and a half that historically have had a need for more investment from the police department. And certainly if you look at Meade Village, it is a public housing community that tells you automatically that there is a disproportionate level of poverty in the community. So the message for the community there is, we don't care how much money you have, we're there to support you. And I do believe very strongly that where you have poverty, people try to fill the void created by poverty with any number of things, many of which cannot be healthy for the community. So in this instance, we had a gentleman in the community who was banned by the owners of the property, which is the housing authority. And I want to make this clear. He wasn't banned by the police department. He was banned by the owners of the property, the custodians of the community, the housing authority. So in this instance, his being in the community was a criminal violation, and the officers went to enforce that violation. There was a lot of noise made. There was some resistance overcome, and because of the spectacle that made, it drew a crowd, and some members of the crowd who don't understand that the police are there supporting the community because every one of them deserves a safe place to live without the scourge of the drug trade destroying the community, expressed their frustration in an unhealthy manner and threw some stuff at the cops. No officers were hurt, fortunately. But this was at the same moments where we had just discovered the double homicide you saw on the news this week, and in the same district. So our resources were stretched very thin. Mm-hmm. So we had to really kind of pull out of the community with the person that we had arrested. And by the time we got back to the community, everything was settled down.
For anyone out there, any citizen that becomes involved with police, whether it's you're answering a phone call from a concerned citizen, if someone's being pulled over, if you're being approached by police, what advice can you give about making sure that that situation doesn't escalate
into negativity?
Into negativity.
Gotcha. So I think respectful communication is the key there. When officers are arriving on a scene or have pulled over a vehicle or any of the myriads of human conditions that can engender a police response, something has deteriorated to the point that it needs the police to stabilize it. So if you think about it from that point of view, calm, compliance with requests is in order. And on those occasions where you feel that an officer is being disrespectful or some improvement could be engendered in the communication, as long as you're having a conversation at this tone and in this type of language, names aren't being tossed about and things of that nature, a conversation's okay. I tell people all the time, if you think an officer's wrong, it's okay to say that as long as you're doing it in the same tone the officer's speaking at you. And then I think it's important sometimes to remember that when the officers are coming into the situation, you have to remember what they're being called for. So I'll use the example of a person with a gun call. Officer friendly is not going to be showing up at that man with a gun call for the first few minutes until we've brought order and stability and safety to the situation. So it's important at that point, especially, to comply. And if there are grievances to be addressed later, I have, I think, shown the community that I'm willing to listen to them. I'm willing to give a full and fair and impartial investigation to complaints. And on the occasion, the very rare occasion where it's warranted, we'll remove problems from the police department. So really calm compliance at the time, remembering that the police have a very tough job to do in the best of circumstances. And then the kind of kernel of thought that I'd like to leave people with is remember that something happened to bring the police there in 99% of the instances. So we're there to restore order and restore an equilibrium to the situation. So that's the important thing.
It's all about respectful communication.
And Kristin, we should mention that we respect very much what the police department
Thank you very
does
much.
for us.
We respect your support.
And we both know police officers that live in our neighborhood, and we interact with them every day. And really, the Anne Arundel County Police Department, everybody is there trying to do the right thing and trying to help people out. So, you know, the best thing we can do moving forward is to keep talking about these things and keep treating everyone with respect.
And have an open dialogue.
Absolutely.
So-
And we're okay with the tough questions. We don't mind answering them. Finding the correct venue sometimes is the magic behind that one.
Right.
Well, we appreciate all that you do, all that your officers do. It's hard work, hard job, and you guys do it so well. So we appreciate you coming on the show today, too. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief Tim Altomare.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, anytime. We'll be right back with more Week in Review right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, Hard, what's this?
That's my resignation.
You're resigning.
Why?
You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit.
Oh, I forgot. I'll do better. Please don't quit on me.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
Welcome back. The Big Glen Burnie Carnival is almost here, and our own Sara Gannon has a preview. Sarah?
Thanks, guys. It's that time again. It's the time for the Big Glen Burnie Carnival. I'm here today with Beth Behegan, and we're going to talk about the 109th, that's right, 109th Big Glen Burnie Carnival. Beth, thank you so much for meeting me here today. We're at the site, and you all are setting up. And I know preparations have been well before now for this big event. Beth, can you tell me a little bit about the event? When is the event start?
Sure. It starts July 29th, and it goes through August 6th.
Okay.
We're closed on Sunday. We've always been closed on Sunday. And it starts at 6:30 each night.
Okay.
Fridays and Saturdays, we close at 11. And during the weeknights, we close at 10:30.
Can you tell me about the event? How did this event start?
I would love to tell you.
Great.
Back in 1908, some of the gentlemen in town got together because back then there were only a few houses in Glen Burnie.
Sure.
And Mr. Hamlin had to walk up what is now Crane Highway to the train station where the B&A Trail is now. And he had to walk up here, and it was an oyster shell road. So when he would walk to work every day, his shoes would either get dusty or dirty, or if it was raining, they would get muddy. And also, when the women went to church every Sunday, their dresses would get dirty on the road. So the gentlemen all got together on Mr. Hamlin's porch on June 8, 1908, and decided to hold an event, the Glen Burnie Carnival, which the initial one raised $200 to build sidewalks.
Isn't that something? Now, of course, this is the 109th, and it doesn't take one or two people to put this together. Do you need volunteers for this event?
We always need volunteers, with the exception of Jolly Shows, who does the rides, and the staff, the young kids that we hire each year. Everybody that works here is a volunteer, including our chairman, Barbara Moeller, who works for weeks on this. We are all volunteers. All of our stands are run by volunteers, the kitchen, hundreds of volunteers every year.
And how can Glen Burnie get in on the action on this?
Sure, we would love to have anybody who wants to help. You can go to our Facebook page, the Big Glen Burnie Carnival. You can call us at 410-766-6760. Or you can go to our website, or you can email us at gbia.gbia.org.
Yes, and we can't forget Barb Moeller. She's like the mayor of Glen Burnie.
Yes, she is.
Can you tell me, Beth, what type of things are attractions that will be here this year?
Sure, we have a couple new things this year.
Wow,
We're bringing in new games, a bottle bus game, ping pong toss game. We're bringing the lamps back by popular demand. We haven't had them in 3 or 4 years, so we're bringing back the lamp stand. I think those are most of the new ones.
Okay. Any new rides?
No new rides, but we do have 22 rides here that we amazingly fit on this property somehow.
That's fantastic. I mean, you all do great work, not only for the carnival, but for the community. And I'm really glad to have got to know you all and work with you all. Anything else going on in Glen Burnie that you want to share?
Well, I can tell you, when you come here and spend your pennies and your dimes and your dollars, the money goes back into the community. It's used to maintain our grounds and our property, not only the carnival grounds in our hall, but also 3rd Avenue Park. We own that, and we maintain that, and we let people use it for parties. And also to pay for our events throughout the year. We have the Memorial Day Parade, we had the fireworks, which we just had the fireworks event that was attended by more people than we've ever had. We hold that at Sawmill Creek Park. We have a 5K, we have a tree lighting, we have an ice cream social. We do, and we have Santa's Christmas Eve ride, where we give out either a little bag of toys or candy to all the children.
Well, thanks, Beth, for meeting with me today and talking about the 109th Big Glen Burnie Carnival. And come out and check it out. And back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sarah. Sounds like a lot of fun. They always do a great job. And of course, carnival food.
And all kinds of new stuff. And
yeah. Funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes.
Corn dogs.
Funnel cakes.
So we were talking about YMCA.
Right.
Which is such a fun
just
song
like
to dance
every single
to.
sporting event and
anytime,
wedding you go to.
Yeah, so let's talk about the songs you gotta have on that big sporting event or that wedding playlist, the songs that get people going. So anyone out there that's planning a big event knows what to put on the soundtrack.
Okay, we can help with this. And of course, the Lagana family is planning a big wedding coming
Yes,
up.
shout out to my sister.
Shout
Big
out.
Sis,
Shout
Vicky,
out
November.
to Sis Lagana.
So I think people are over the electric slide at this point. We
You don't
need
see that one as much,
anymore.
but of course I'm going to go with one that's completely outdated and say The Wobble.
The Wobble. Okay, yeah,
That's the easy one. That's right up my alley. I love The Wobble.
Am I bad for still liking the Macarena?
Okay, let's talk about, no. But God, the Macarena. Ugh.
I just like the.
So here's the 3 that should be retired. Okay. Enough with these. Celebrate.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of it.
I agree with you.
Shout.
Oh. Yeah.
Shout has got to go.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Okay. Electric slide.
And electric slide.
Yeah.
Those 3 should be retired now. I mean, there's plenty of songs. There's plenty of music out there. Do you have any that, I mean, you do a lot of weddings, so there's got to be some songs. We won't tell anyone. Just tell us which ones you just hate to do.
Oh, well, here's my top 3 I hate to perform. Don't ever ask me.
I can't wait for this.
Oh my God. Brown Eyed Girl.
Oh. It's a fine song, but I don't want to dance to it.
Over it. Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
It's a good song.
And Margaritaville.
Oh, yes. Sweet.
Salt.
Wait, I got one more.
Salt.
Sweet Caroline.
Oh,
I can't take it anymore. Stop.
Yeah, I know.
Stop with
I know
Sweet
what you
Caroline.
mean.
We're such a bummer here. We're like,
on the positive side,
we
though, on the
hate
positive
songs.
side, you get that special moment to walk into that jam, that wedding, that sporting event to your song. What is your song?
Oh, that's easy. Love and Happiness by Al Green.
Oh, I like that.
Yep, that's a good one.
That's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
What's yours, Kristin? Oh, mine?
I thought you were just going to say. Since when do I ever have to ask you to speak?
You're right. My favorite all-time song, the #1 thing that I request at weddings. I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston.
Woo!
Somebody who.
I was just going to say, there are not a lot of wedding singers who can pull that song off.
I love that song.
Whitney Houston is hard.
There's something about it that makes me instantly happy.
Interesting. That's an interesting one. I wouldn't guess that. So that's going to be your wedding song?
No, not like my wedding
That's
song.
going to be your
Not my
coming
first
in
dance.
wedding song?
No. It's the one that I always request.
It has to be played.
It has to be played at some part of the night.
And we're just the kind of people that we would choreograph every single song that is played, and we will not allow any songs that were not on our list. Correct?
That's right. You might as well just do the iPad
Because I'll get
yourself.
mad, because if you do the shout song, I'm going to get mad.
Real mad.
Right?
Future DJs out there.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Play the list.
Don't do it.
Well, that wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review. You can watch this episode and archived episodes online anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or Google+, which still exists, by simply searching Arundel TV. Please tune in again next week for more highlights and news from around the county, and we'll see you next time.
Bennett.
How about that?
Bag it.
Yeah, good. You did that.
Bundle it.
Bundle it. I'm bundling.
I like that.
That's churning the wheat. We're churning the wheat.
Bennett. Bag it. Bundle it.